Okay, we're live. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Tonight we're going to be watching Joe Dante's Piranha from 1978, and yeah, this is something I decided to put together last minute, but I'm a little out of breath right now, trying to run around and get all this done on time. But yeah, I just had to squeeze in getting the lawn cut in time to get this, or to get to this on time. But yeah, this is definitely a movie I'd like to watch annually every summer. Try not to get through the summer without missing this one, but yeah, I figured now, this time of year, middle of July here, figured this be the best time to get this all together. But yeah, this movie is about, I think, like an hour, 33 or 34 minutes. So yeah, we'll be here for an average of 2 hours tonight. And yeah, the Internet Archive link is pinned at the top there. So yeah, you should be able to open that up and access the movie very easily compared to Look Movie, which could potentially stall out on you, and then you'll have to then you'll just have to refresh it and start over again. But yeah, we'll get to the comments here in a second. Looks like we have 4 people in the chat. All right, so just scheduled one anniversary I was kind of overlooking, and glad I caught up on that in time before we missed it. But this Tuesday, July 22nd, will be the 20th anniversary for Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. So as of right now, that'll be the next stream on the channel. But another Joe Dante film I want to do a stream for, which is really up there as one of my favorite films of all time. Definitely a favorite of Joe Dante's, and really just one of my favorite comedies, is The Burbs. So some point we'll be getting around to that. Just not exactly sure when, but it could be this week. If not, we'll figure out another time for that to get that done. But yeah, I know Greg Brewer, you scheduled Hobo with a Shotgun, so I'm just trying to find the right time to do that stream. So it looks like we'll probably start that off with your request. More than likely get into the Grindhouse movies with Death Proof and Planet Terror, and I'm going to try to squeeze in Machete too. So yeah, at some point I'm going to get around to your request, though. It's definitely scheduled, that's for sure. But before the 22nd, I believe it's this Saturday, will be the 40th anniversary for George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. So yeah, so actually that'll be the next stream on the channel, and then the Devil's Rejects 20th anniversary. Unless something gets altered with that, but I'll keep you all updated on that. So let's go ahead and get to the chat now. We have 5 people here. How do I do that? Oh, right, here we go. So yeah, we have Greg is here. What's up, Greg? Hope all is well. Hopefully you had a good weekend. And we got George is here. George is here, the Sailor Outlaw. What's up there, George? Hope you had a good weekend. We have Jason H is here. What's up, Jason? I know I've seen that name here before. But yeah, just pretty sure I haven't seen you here in a little while. But yeah, hopefully all is well. And yeah, thanks for stopping by and hanging out. They made a remake, right? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And then there's also that Piranha 3D. I haven't seen that one. I know I bought that one at a Dollar Tree. But the remake, for what the remake is, it's actually, it could be a very graphic movie, pretty fun overall. I'd say compared to the original here, it is like a more straightforward horror comedy. But I mean, if people want to see a stream for that, we could do the remake. We very easily could do that one. And I also haven't seen that one in a long time, but it's somewhere in my collection. But yeah, it's definitely worth mentioning, with watching the original here tonight. And we got Chobits here too. What's up, Anthony? Yo, buddy, tomorrow I have training. Wish me luck. Yeah, good luck, man. Good luck with all that, Anthony. But yeah, I saw you went to the theater to see Superman, and I haven't really read up on any reviews on it, but I just know that's all like the hype right now. It seems like that's like, it's got to be like the summer blockbuster compared to everything else going, or everything else that's being released. It's definitely not Jurassic Park Rebirth. I can't believe they're still trying to make fucking dinosaur movies. Yeah, that's Trick or Treat. a horror anthology shirt. I haven't worn it in a long time, so. All right. Yeah, Piranha 3D. Yeah, it's, I've never actually properly seen the movie in 3D. I don't have like a 3D setup to watch it like that, but I just know, like, when that movie first came out, I was like, I don't know about this. So then I saw it a few years later and realized, like, this movie's not that bad. It's, that's the thing, man. You can't really let your personal judgments get in the way of watching films. You kind of just have to, if there's enough interest or intrigue there for you, you kind of just have to give it a watch. What do you got to lose? An hour or two? And I mean, you can always just shut the damn thing off and go watch something else. But I was really surprised with it. Yeah, thank you too, Greg. Greg, I was trying to get that OPB project thing. I was trying to look into that more to do streams with, and it's just very complicated. I tried watching that tutorial video you sent me to, and of course they don't focus on where your video clips are at and everything. And those tutorials can be helpful, but some of those guys, like, I know you can hit the pause button and, take in the info, however it is that you collect it, but that guy in that video is just flying through that info, and it's like a 17-minute video, but I'm going to have to play with that a little bit more and see if I could use that for streams or something. But, but thank you though for trying to look into that to try to get, do streams again with video clips. And all right, we got Jim's movie channel is here too. Hey, Sean, sorry I couldn't pop in for the panel tonight, but I wanted to stop by and say hello at least. And yes, we will definitely schedule something very shortly. Yeah, man. It's because I know I heard you speaking about Piranha before and how it's like one of your favorite films. And I was just, lining this up and was like, I think it's appropriate, to do a movie like this throughout the summer. And that's why I figured I'd just throw an invite your way. But yeah, just, there's going to be plenty of other streams, and just contact me on Instagram. Try to just, I'll let you, throw some movie titles at me if there's something that interests you more. Like I'm pretty open to doing things I haven't seen before, but if there's something that's on your radar that you'd like to do a stream for, let me know, and I'm open to whatever day and whatever time. So I'm just trying to, just be open and flexible with all that. So yeah, we'll get something together here in the future. So it's no worries. Yeah, Greg saying The Devil Rejects is my favorite Rob Zombie film, and I consider it his best. Yeah, I kind of lean towards corpses a little bit more. I kind of just like that Halloween theme that goes on throughout it. I mean, I really do like corpses and rejects, like, equally. I really do. But when it comes to picking one out of the other, I kind of do lean towards corpses a little bit more. But yeah, The Devil's Rejects, man, what a fucking ride that movie is. But I'm really looking forward to doing the stream for that one. It's another one I never did a stream for before. I have done corpses before, but that was on the older channel that got terminated. So maybe we'll get that one, you know, we'll probably do some kind of watch party for that one at some point. But yeah, we got people saying hello to each other. Try to get some channel links out here tonight so you guys can subscribe to each other. I'm currently at 273. So yeah, the channel's growing very slowly, but a bit surely. And we have Cat in the Van. Cat in the Van. Is that Brian? I know he just recently changed his name. Maybe that could be Brian, but if it's not, yeah, thank you for stopping by. Hello, Cat in the Van. We'll try to get your channel out there into the chat. And yeah, Jim's movie channel saying, I saw this movie at the drive-in in 1979 when I was 12 years old. If I'm not mistaken, the other movie was Meatballs starring Bill Murray. Wow, that's an interesting double bill right there. But yeah, thanks for sharing that info. I have actually seen Piranha on the big screen before. I was at a 24-hour horror movie screening event. I've gone to this event, I believe 4 times I've gone to this event. I don't know if they still do it anymore. I'm pretty sure they don't do it in downtown Philadelphia anymore. It could either be somewhere in Jersey or somewhere out west of Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh. But this was the movie that they closed out the 24-hour fest with. And usually when I go to that event, by the time they're screening the last movie, I'm worn the fuck out, like just ready to go home. But yeah, I stuck it out, watched the movie, and it was like an original print too. It had all like the specs and all like the blotches throughout it. Even the framing on the 35 millimeter print had those rounded off corners on it and everything. So it was like, yeah, it's like they had an original 35 millimeter print for Piranha. And yeah, watching that. Cause like, I know another thing is with that 24-hour event, they always started out with something classic, something that as a horror fan or just a or a fan of cinema, you should probably be, familiar with. And then they close it out with a more classic film that you should probably be familiar with. So if I remember correctly at this event, I believe they started it out with Creepshow and then they ended it with Piranha. But I do have the flyers. I'll have to pull that. I don't know if I can pull them out for this stream. I have them somewhere over here near my other movie rack on the other side of my room. But I do have some of those flyers from a lot of like double and triple bills I've gone to, and the flyers for the 24-hour events. And I always wrote down the movies on the back, the back of the flyer, so I don't forget some of these films. Because in a 24-hour period of watching movies, and they would always do like maybe like a 5-minute break with trailers in between, they would end up squeezing in about 13 to 14 movies in a 24-hour, process there. Yeah, Greg's saying, I'm waiting for a horror film about a killer goldfish. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to give it some sharp teeth or something there. Who knows? Jim's movie channel. Are you ready for the summer or are you ready for the good times? Holy shit, there's a fish biting my ass. Get out of the water quick. That is the summary of Piranha Meatballs double feature. Yeah, that's a good way to sum that up in a nutshell. But all right, so yeah, we're caught up on the chat for now. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can give me one brief few seconds here. Let's see if I can pull out these flyers. That's the wrong button. Give me a second. All right, I didn't get all of them. I actually have the 24-hour event ones. I have those laminated. I actually went to a Staples store and had those laminated because I didn't want them to get destroyed. But I'll have to pull those out another time because they're actually like under my bed right now. I still got to get those like posted up on these walls here. Yeah, they're not posted on there. But yeah, there was an event I went to that actually, this was a double bill for Aliens, James Cameron's Aliens and Critters. Maybe hold on, I'll try to solo this. Why do I not know how to see all this new shit, man? This new stuff on here is layout. Where's the solo thing? Oh, that's not it. Where is the solo thing at? I don't know why I can't find the solo thing, but yeah. There's a flyer there for Aliens and Critters. That was an event I went to. Does that have the year on there? Yeah, it was Fridays. Oh, yeah, it does. Friday, September 19th, 2014, that was. So this was down at the International House at 37th and Chestnut in Philadelphia. There was another event here I went to called the Italian Invasion. So, it's like, yeah, Man from Deep River, is that? Yeah, this was Cannibal Holocaust. So yeah, this was a double bill. Or wait, no, there was a third movie here. So it was Cannibal Holocaust, Man from Deep River, and The Woman. I don't know if maybe we probably didn't stay for The Woman. I don't know. But yeah, that was a flyer there for Man from Deep River and Cannibal Holocaust. And does that have the year on that? Yeah, so this was October 24th, 2014. That was the same year. It looks like, yeah, I guess a lot of these I went to in 2014. Uh, that's another flyer from the same screening. Or wait, trying to find the year. The Forgotten Film Fest. Yeah, this was the same flyer. I don't know why they had two separate flyers for A Man from Deep River and Cannibal Holocaust, but yeah, it's weird that they had two flyers for that. But that one doesn't mention The Woman, the screening of The Woman. I don't know. It's weird. And then there was another screening here. I remember going to see Dune, David Lynch's Dune, but I did not stick around for Star Trek 3. I've never been a Star Trek fan. As much as I've tried watching those films, I just never got into them. But I do have The Wrath of Khan on DVD. I know a lot of people rave about that one. I still need to see that one. So at some point I'll get around to that. But yeah, that's a screening there for Star Trek 3 and David Lynch's Dune. Like I'm wouldn't even really consider myself the biggest fan of David Lynch's Dune. It's a very watchable film in my opinion, but I must have had nothing else better to do this night for me to go to this screening. But this was August 23rd, 2014, and I think that is it for the ones that I could find right now. I know I have a bunch of other ones, but I'll have to get those organized for another stream to show those things to you. But yeah, Jim's saying he's got to get going. My family just noticed I snuck away, but I'll try to stop back later on. But if not, I hope everyone has a good night. Yeah, thanks for stopping by and hanging out, Jim. And yeah, that was another solid episode you did on your channel yesterday with Gareth. So that was yeah, for the most part, like I was, paying attention to the chat. I just wasn't there for like the entire thing, but I was listening to it because I was sitting in here reorganizing a lot of stuff in my room. So I just left my phone on the charger, laid it on the bed, and just listened to the entire stream. But yeah, man. All right, so we're like almost 18 minutes into this. Yeah, Greg, not sure if how you're watching it, but like I said, the Internet Archive link is pinned at the top there. So it should be very accessible for you if you don't own the movie. But I'm pretty sure, you are, a collector. You're a collector and everything. So if I had to guess, you probably do have this one in your collection. Just trying to pull up the stream on this other device. And I'll take that off of there. All right, so we got 3 people in the chat right now. But yeah, overall, going forward with streams, I'm going to try to start doing streams at other times, like, other random times overall. I'm just trying to, change things up a little bit differently with time slots. So during the week, overall, you'll probably see streams between like 9 p.m. Eastern time, between 9 and 11 Eastern time. So I'm trying to do like, the more later times, like during the week between Monday through Friday. And then Saturday and Sundays, I'm going to try to do streams a little bit earlier, probably about the 7 o'clock, slot there between like, it could be anywhere between 7 p.m. Eastern time, 8, 9, or 10 o'clock. It could be any one of those times. But there's even a possibility that you could see me doing streams at even like 5 p.m. Eastern time. That's even possible. So yeah, I'm just trying to change things up a little bit. And I know sometimes even some people that, are overseas, it's just hard for them to get to the stream when I'm starting at 9, 10 o'clock at night. So maybe that'll change things up a bit to give people the opportunity to come hang out a little bit more. But all right, so we got Cat in the Van. I'm pretty sure that's you, Brian, right? I think try to let me know down in the comments. But But yeah, Brian, if you could click like on the stream, man, that'd be highly appreciated if you haven't done that yet. But yeah, Cat the Van saying, hey, I like the later streams. No, it's very understandable. That's for like one of the most parts, like one of the reasons why I even do those streams is because, or why I go at that time with 10 p.m. is because it does allow people on the West Coast to get there. Like 10 o'clock for me is about 7 o'clock for them, and usually by 10 o'clock, like I'm not really doing anything at that time. So that's really why I stick to those later time slots. But yeah, I mean, streams are still gonna, be there at that time, that usual time. I'm just trying to, change things up. So if there's a stream that's going to be scheduled for like a Saturday or a Sunday, chances are those streams are going to be done a little bit earlier. Unless somebody like, if I get like a request from someone, if I'm doing a certain movie a little bit earlier and they say like, yo, if you could push this back to a certain time, then, if I hear somebody request that, then I'll do that. As long as I'm able to do the stream, obviously, too. So, but yeah, Brian, if you ever see something, on the channel and the time just isn't there for you to attend it, just say something. Then, I'll just try to make sure that I can be flexible and change the time. That's all. But like overall, like I mean, I'm pretty open, to doing all this stuff. Like I mean, the job that I currently have is mostly morning, early afternoon hours. I'm doing home care, actually getting paid for taking care of my mother at this point because I just can't find any work in the car business right now. And car business is such a cutthroat business to get involved with. So it's also very seasonal too, unless you're like a fucking car salesman or a finance manager. But yeah, it's like obviously like the summertime can be busy and then shit dies out, fall going into Christmas. Then things tend to get busier again about February, March. And it's just not a very reliable business to have a weekly paying job. So, but that's a good question there from Greg. What is my favorite Joe Dante film? So I'm gonna pull up the filmography to make sure I'm not overlooking anything. But honestly, going off the top of my head, I really think it's The Burbs. I find myself really gravitating towards that one a lot. It's another one I like to watch during the summertime, and the movie just always makes me laugh. Yeah, it's just such a big movie for me, and like I remember, like one of the reasons why I ever got into that movie, like why it really grew on me. I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I actually used to think it was a horror movie because of how things play out in it. And like when you see like the Kopech family and you hear like the old school like horror style organ. When I was a kid, I'm like, this is a fucking horror movie. Like, I used to really think it was a legit horror movie. But one of the reasons why the movie really grew on me is because one of my best friends, he used to always like quote the movie and like request seeing it, and like me and him would watch it sometimes if we had nothing else better to do. And we would always just have like inside jokes about things like just had things going on in our everyday lives that we could refer to like with that movie and with quotes throughout it. So like the movie just really grew on me a lot more from there over the years. And yeah, I'll never get sick of that one. Like I also would have to say it's my favorite Tom Hanks movie. I'm gonna, just pull up Dante's filmography, which is I probably should know that off the top of my head, really. Gremlins is another good one. So man, it's hard to really put a film in front of that. The Howling, which I did recently watch that one. I watched that one with someone else, and yeah, it's always have a good time going back and watching that. I'm just not a fan of the other sequels in that mess of a franchise. So, but yeah, Joe Dante's The Howling. I mean, Piranha. Piranha is definitely an old time favorite, which we're doing here tonight. And another one from Joe Dante that just had a 40th anniversary yesterday is the Explorers, which is, which reading up on the info of Explorers, 40 years ago on July 12th, that's when they had that Live Aid concert. and they released Explorers on that day. The studio wanted to hurry up and get that movie out there. They weren't even done with all the effects. They were waiting for things to dry properly. With Rob Bottin doing the effects, and he was just a one-man crew back then, a very young guy trying to handle all this heavy workload to get effects done for movies. And studios and shit were just not giving him that time to get things done. So yeah, with the studio rushing that movie to get released on July 12th, it ended up failing at the box office. And from reading up on that info that I could find on it, even like everyone involved in the movie, even Joe Dante was saying, it was like the movie was released and poof, it was just gone out of nowhere. As if people saw it and moved on with their lives, or they just didn't even hear about it happening. But, at a later time with Explorers, it did better, became a cult classic through VHS rentals. But I think it was Paramount. I think it was Paramount Pictures that was the studio handling that. The movie Explorers. And I know Shell Factory released that on Blu-ray, and I bought that a couple of years ago. And I also haven't seen it in years, which is one of the reasons why I bought that Blu-ray. I went back and watched it, man. I had a lot of fun going back and watching that, man. Like, I used to have it dubbed off of the TV on VHS. And yeah, I always loved watching that movie when I was a kid, man. Such an adventure of a movie. And, it's like a sci-fi, kids adventure film, really. But I think the movie holds up very well for what it is. It's Ethan Hawke, River Phoenix in it. But, yeah, you know what, Greg? Yeah, I got to go with The Burbs, man. Just looking at Joe Dante's filmography here and everything. And yeah, dude, it's definitely The Burbs. But, when I was a kid growing up with horror movies, I really wasn't allowed to watch a lot of horror movies as a kid. Because my parents were aware of the nightmares I would have with some of these movies, mainly with like Jason, Michael, and Freddy and stuff, with all the slasher icons. But this is a movie my dad actually let me rent. So my dad was okay with me watching anything with killer animals in it. And I think one of the reasons why he allowed that is because he knows when I saw Jaws, the movie freaked me out with going into the water and everything, but it didn't give me like endless nights with nightmares. So my dad was like, all right, I'll let you watch this Piranha movie, which I ended up loving so much as a kid. Even like the opening scene with the kids going into the test pool, and they just get mauled by the fucking swarm of piranhas and that, man. Just from the opening of this movie all the way to, its final act and everything. I really like this a lot. And I remember one night, me and my dad were at one of the pharmacies in our area, and they used to sell VHS tapes there. My dad was actually looking through them. And that's a rare occurrence because my dad's just not a movie fan. My dad barely has the patience to sit down for something that's even like an hour long. So for my dad to sit down with a movie, he's going to get up at some point and do something else. But I remember my dad going through this whole stack of VHS tapes. We're at this pharmacy, and he pulls out and goes, "Hey, Sean, look what they have. Apparently there's a part 2 to Piranha. It's called Piranha 2, The Spawning." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And like, I'm looking at the artwork. I'm like, "It looks like they fly out of the water now." Like, he's like, "Yeah, if you want, I'll buy it for you. You can watch it tonight." And yeah, Piranha 2 is not the best movie. That's for sure. I know Lance Hendrickson's in it, but that's a movie I got to go back and rewatch. I just know it's not the best movie. I believe it's also like one of like James Cameron's like first involvements in like, being a director or whatever. I think he might have directed that. He has some kind of involvement with that. But yeah, just taking that home, the Piranha 2, The Spawning, and they're flying out of the water and attacking people and shit. That was really fun to see. But like overall, my dad was, he would let me watch war films, which I never understood. I'm like, these movies are R-rated. Watching people get blown up to bits. Like, why is this okay? And I can't watch, this, that, and the other thing. So my dad was okay with me watching war movies and anything that had like a killer animal or a killer fish in it, something like that. So But that's one thing I definitely remember though is my dad finding Piranha 2 at the pharmacy and him buying it for me. Yeah, car business is tough, man. I was a car salesman for a couple of years. That's another thing. Like you have to rely on your sales as a car salesman, and you got to be motivated, and you got to be a people person. You got to know how to talk to people. You got to know how to fish people in, and that's a tough profession there, man. Greg is he's going with Gremlins. All right. Yeah, I really hate to pick something over Gremlins because that's a big one for me too. But all right, I'll get back to the chat here, but we got to get this movie started because we're at the 30-minute mark right now. So let me go get a drink. I'll be back in a few seconds. And yeah, Internet Archive link is pinned at the top. So go ahead and get yourselves situated and ready, and we'll get this going here real soon. All right. Just got to get my subtitles in place. I have the Scream Factory Blu-ray, but I went and bought the Steelbook here with that newer commissioned artwork. When you pull it out, you get it all straight that way. But man, for the longest time, I was like, I don't know if this movie will really benefit from an HD upgrade. So I was like, yeah, I'll buy it at a later time when I can find a price drop on it. So, and that's a limited edition steelbook, apparently limited to 10,000 copies. And I was able to find it a couple years later for like $20. I think like initially it was like 28 or more. So I found it for $20. I watched it on Blu-ray and I was very surprised at the fact that, it still retained a grain field and had excellent clarity in it. You could see that the saturated colors, it wasn't oversaturated, but I know it is available on 4K now. I don't know if I will upgrade it to 4K. I'm probably just going to stay with the Blu-ray. But yeah, movie looks flawless now with an HD print and everything, man. It looks fucking great. But yeah, Brian is saying Gremlins was a good movie. I saw that at the movie theater back in the 80s. Yeah, it came out in 84. It's another one that had a 40th anniversary last year. So Greg's saying they're doing a Gremlins 3, but I'm sure if Joe Dante isn't directing it. And I've been talking about that for so damn long. And I think they missed their stride on that. They missed their mark on that. Really, it's probably going to be the same result as when they reunited Ghostbusters, but I guess we'll see, man. And yeah, Inner Space, that's another one that's worth mentioning. I think Martin Short is in that one, or if I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, we got 59 is here. What's up there, 59? Great shirt, Sean. I have missed you, broski. Hopefully all is rocking and rolling. Yeah, it's a trick or treat horror anthology shirt, but yeah, thanks, bro. And yeah, everything's all good. But all right, let's get this going before we get a little too deep into this. So, all right, yeah, Internet Archive movie link is pinned at the top there. So we're gonna go ahead and do a 10-1 now. All right. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play. That New World Pictures logo, that classic one. That's definitely the classic opening logo, like the intro logo that, like after this time, like once the 80s came around, you didn't really see that logo too often anymore. I know they upgraded it. I think they upgraded it to that red looking sun thing with all the weird slash lines throughout it, but I gotta get some more light here so you guys can see me. Like most of the time, I actually rely on the light coming off the TV because I'm literally like, I put my hand out, I can touch my TV. I'm about 2 feet away from my TV. And I have to do that because my bed really takes up a lot of room in this room. Overall, my bedroom's really not that big. This is a fairly small bedroom. I just have like, my closet, I had to convert that into a movie holding unit. I used to have like shirts and everything in there, and eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna gut this closet and take everything and put it in the basement where there's plenty of room. And now I took that and I actually have like I have a bureau in there that holds movies. So I have to pull the drawers out with all the movies in there. And then I have two other units on the sides of it that goes up the side. So that probably holds at least like 300 movies in there. If I had to guess, I think my collection is somewhere between 800 and maybe 1,000 movies between DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. I have my VHS tapes, which is not many. I might have like 30 of those in my collection. They're in boxes all the way up on the shelving unit in my closet there. So but most of those VHS tapes I held on to are just ones that I had from a kid. Like when I was a kid, I still have my original Jaws VHS tape. I actually had the Jaws soundtrack vinyl. Found that at a flea market one time for $1. That's one thing I have not done this summer is gone to the flea market, and it's because of money. I don't have spending money. But I usually would go to the flea market at least twice a month. So I would probably hit the flea market somewhere between like 5 and 8 times throughout the summer and find great deals. And one thing I've learned with, shopping at flea markets, the earlier you get there, the more chance you're going to have with hitting a home run with finding stuff and finding good deals. Like I've realized that like there's even been times I've gone to a flea market and got there at 9 a.m. and everything you could just tell is picked over. And then you're talking to some of these people that are selling things. They're like, yeah, if you were here at like 6:30 this morning, man, I had this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. Like, I don't want to hear what I missed out on. But I learned my lesson with that. Like, all right, go to the flea market. We got to get here at like 6:30, 7 a.m. And I learned very quickly that, like, shit, man, like getting here early, there's less people and you just have more of an opportunity at, finding good stuff and getting good deals on things. Like a lot of times I will buy a lot of, like personally made, like bootleg Blu-ray stuff that's like not available. Like that's only like that's like a streaming service movie, like a Netflix movie. I'll find like copies of stuff like that for like just $5. Actually, I bought the stream we did for Godzilla -1. I found a copy of that. Like I know it's available now on like 4K and everything with like a proper release, but yeah, I found that one for $5 on Blu-ray, a custom made one. But yeah, this opening scene here, man. Like I actually, that's another thing. When I first saw this, I didn't realize that like this was like a test pool with piranhas in it. I realized that there was piranhas in it, but I thought it was just like a regular pool. And me being a little kid, not comprehending things, me thinking that like sharks and piranhas can get into your pool somehow. I used to think that like these kids just found a pool and they jumped in it. So like honestly, like without already, like, I mean, with already being freaked out with going into the ocean with Jaws, like this scene kind of fucked me up with going into pools. Cause like after seeing this, I'm like, if I go into this pool, there might be piranhas in there. And they're all gonna just tear me apart. But these two campers, I guess they were just probably out camping and being exposed to the elements for so long that they just felt like they needed to cool off and get cleaned up in a way. And this was really their best option. But like, I feel like there should have been enough in the pool or even going around it to tell you like this is no ordinary pool. But like I know the one guy's like, hey, wait a second, what if this is some kind of like test site or whatever? And then the girl like makes him ignore that immediately. She's like, stop being such a pansy and just jump in the water. I love that though. At the end of the scene here, you get that shot of the moonlight on the water, then that Piranha logo shows up, and then all the red drains out of it as if it's actually blood, and then it just turns into a pool of blood right on top of the pool there. It's so cool, especially for being from the back in 1978. But yeah, 59 saying howdy, Greg, and cat in the van by the river. Yeah, rest in peace, Chris Farley. Yeah, that's Brian over there with I know his previous channel name was Wrestling in the Van. I'm gonna get his channel link shared out in a minute. I'm gonna get your channel link shared out too, 59. Make sure you guys are subscribing to each other. But Brian does a lot of he does a lot of like action figure stuff where he actually will play with the stuff, like but like he does like matchups and like stuff like that. Which I'm sure some people might find that as something a little over exaggerated for adults, but I just like the simplicity of it. The guy knows how to have fun with his memorabilia and his toys and whatever else he has. And yeah, it's to me, especially, for being grown men, it's something I don't see on YouTube often. So I like to see him have fun with that stuff. So I'm going to get his channel shared out, and then 59, I'll get yours shared out too. Now, I like after the opening kill with the two campers in the pool, it moves to like an airport, I believe. And then you get the Jaws arcade video game, which is like kind of hinting at like the influence of where the idea came from for Piranha, which is a Roger Corman production. Without Roger Corman, a lot of these movies wouldn't have gotten made and wouldn't have given us such fun entertainment. But I think this is an airport during. Oh, it's a rental car. That's right. It's a rental car agency. She's renting a Jeep right now. Forgive me, guys. I think last time I probably seen this might have been last summer. I usually don't get through a summer without watching this movie. But it's another thing I didn't realize when I was like looking up random info. I didn't realize what's her name died like just last year. I think she died on Christmas 2024. She died. What's her name again? Heather something. I'm gonna find out in a second. But I think she died from a brain tumor at like 67 years old. Yeah, Heather Menzies, who plays Maggie McKeon. Yeah, she died from like a brain tumor, like around Christmas of 2024. I didn't realize that. So she was, I think it was 67. 68 years old she was. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't last. Why was I reading 2024? She died on Christmas Eve, 2017. So that's all right. So it was a few years ago. It's like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. But I didn't realize she had passed away. But yeah, now once she rents the Jeep, movie opens up a bit more to where the main river is, where all the action is going to be taking place with the piranhas, and then we get the like this guy. I think his name's Jack, the guy with the white beard and the fucking that that corkscrew fucking fedora hat he has on, and he's getting liquor for this guy that he knows. What the fuck's his name? I really think one of the best things about this movie is how well these characters perform throughout it. Not only are they well written characters, but these are really good performances from these actors in this movie. Just very genuine, very authentic. And I think that's really like what makes this movie, being from 1978, I think that's really one of the things that makes this movie have such a lasting impact. At least that's my opinion on that. So, what's this guy's name? Yeah, I know Kevin McCarthy's in this. He's in pretty much all of Dante's movies, on top of having Dick Miller and everything. But what's his name? Oh yeah, Bradford Dillman. His name's Paul in this movie. So he's going to end up being one of our main characters. But this guy, Jack, this older guy, I like how at one point he's explaining to Paul how he has everything he needs. He has his dog. He has the river. It puts him to sleep at night. It feeds him every day. It allows him to do his laundry. He can take a bath in it. And then he looks to Paul and says, "So what do you got?" And he's like, "Well, I got bourbon, tequila, gin, scotch, and whiskey." But there is some really good inside humor throughout this movie. There really is. Because, like, overall, I can't say that, this, even though I know to some people, they might label this as a horror comedy. I don't. It just, when you look it up on Google, it just says horror sci-fi. I think when you click on the Wikipedia link, it says American comedy horror film. I just feel like the more serious and horror elements overpower anything that's comedic in it. So I don't really look at this as a horror comedy. I really just look at this as like, a creature feature killer fish horror sci-fi movie. I'm going to get the channel links posted there soon. But yeah, 59 saying I'm hunting down Almost Heroes. Chris Farley's final film. Yeah, Matthew Perry as well, tragically. Right. That's a movie is that even available to buy? Almost Heroes? Well, not last film, but was in it with him. Yeah, yeah. I know, what's that one that did bad? Beverly Hills Ninja or something like that. Man, that was a bad one. I know a lot of people will talk shit on like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, but man, those movies fucking make me laugh. I don't care what people have to say about those two. So, with Heather Menzies, her character is set out to find these two missing campers. And she comes across one of the locals, which is Paul, who's played by Dillman or Bradford Dillman. And he's just not in any mood to be talking or dealing with anyone. But she really just sticks her nose into his business right off the bat. And he's allowing it. He has the tolerance to really allow this lady. And then he tells her right off the bat, he's like, you need to cool your jets, lady. He's even like pointing a fork at her and shit because he's eating fish. But she really does just like just pushes her way into his life. And I guess, he has, yeah, like I said, he has no tolerance for it, but for the fact that he has nothing else going on, he really entertains the idea of it. Inner Space 59 saying Inner Space is underrated Spielberg or under Spielberg. I'm sorry, Martin Short. Yeah, I had a feeling that was a Martin Short movie. I remember when I was a kid, man, that movie used to really fascinate the shit out of me with all like the all the shots of being like inside of like the human body and everything. Like, used to be so fascinated with that movie. That's another one I need to go back and watch. I haven't seen it in years. And 59 saying war movies will toughen you up. Yeah. Um, was his philosophy, I bet. It could have been, man. Who knows? But my friend's dad got a kick out of showing his son and I Das Boot at like 11 years old and loved that guy for that. But it was more of a coming of age movie for me. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like that's well said there. Yeah, so 59 is a gremlin. He's a videotape collecting gremlin. So awesome you set up the movie the way you do, broski. Much respect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. For the most part, I base a lot of my movie watching on release dates and anniversaries, and I felt like I had to do that for my own sanity because there's just a lot of times where I'm like, what do I want to watch tonight? And I just stare at shit. And then I get to like an hour or two later and I still haven't picked something. So eventually I just came up with the concept of being like, you know what? Let's just see what these release dates are on these movies. And this is how I will go down the line with watching things. And I just haven't gotten out of that. So like, I mean, even though this is not an anniversary for this one tonight, I do base, besides release dates, I kind of do base a lot of my film watching on the atmosphere of films. like, obviously, this is a movie that does take place in early summer. Because I know at one point Paul talks about the fact that he's going to have to go get a better job by September. So just because of the fact that this movie does generally take place during the summer, with like, even like the camp setting throughout it, it's just something I like to watch during this time of year. Even like John Carpenter's The Thing, it's a snowy atmosphere movie. I usually won't watch that film till maybe like Christmas, January, February, or March. It's, I have watched John Carpenter's The Thing before, like during the Halloween season, but for the most part, I don't really watch that film around Halloween. But, with movies like that, what takes place with like the time of year in the movie and the atmosphere, that's usually when I will watch a certain type of movie. And that really just revolves around helping me decide on what to watch while I'm not staring at my collection all night with nothing to watch. 59 saying, I think I only have the new one. Not even sure about the DVD. Okay. Now we were like briefly talking about the remake. I think it was 2010, which would be like 15 years old at this point. Let's look that up. I think it was 2010 when that came out, the remake. But that one's fun though, man. Really is. But I would recommend, picking up a copy of the 78 movie. But all I know is this movie looks great on Blu-ray. I do. You know what? Actually, I have a lenticular cover of the DVD. When before Scream Factory ever released their line, they had the Shout Factory line, which is still, effective and active. But they released Piranha with a lenticular cover with the fish attacking the girl. I don't know if that's coming off very well. But that's one of the reasons why I held on to this. I was like, I'm never getting rid of this because of this slipcover. And I wish we would get more lenticular slipcovers, man. I feel like these things are so fucking cool. And they always make me like hold on to them, regardless of how many copies I have. But then you obviously you get the reversible artwork there with the original poster. But 59, like I'm sure you probably collect DVDs and stuff. I know you're bigger on the VHS tape stuff, but I'm sure you could probably even find a copy of this lenticular slipcover, like maybe even on eBay for cheap. I wouldn't be surprised you could probably find a sealed copy of this on eBay for like probably $10, maybe even cheaper. But yeah, I'd recommend trying to get that into your collection. Now, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen anybody with a VHS copy of Piranha, the 78 movie. So with saying that, I would assume that it's probably very rare to come across. But who knows? I could probably be wrong about that. But now we're at the part, when they sneak into the scientific lab that's working on, Project Razor Teeth that they're calling it, with all these killer piranhas. Which I also find that if this is such a top secret establishment, shouldn't this be more well guarded and not guarded by one irresponsible drunk guy, But, elements like that I think makes the movie fun to watch, even though the logic of it is just fucking shot the fuck out. But yeah, it's I always wondered that, because like even when like they break into the place, Heather Menzies has a hatchet. She's using the backside of it to knock on the master, like the actual padlock. She hits it like 3 times and it breaks. It's like, oh well, anyone could break into this place. So, all right. So Greg saying, I actually do have Piranha on physical media. I watch it a lot on TV though. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't know. Like, what channel I cannot watch movies on is AMC. There's too many fucking commercials, man. And then they also cut out the graphic bits that you want to see, and it just that's another reason why I'm a collector, though, man. Seriously. But after they accidentally drain the test pool and everything, they start finding like dog bones and human bones at the bottom, and now they're starting to figure out, put one to one together, that these kids, more than likely they went swimming in this pool and got eaten up by piranhas, because they also found one of the campers, the female camper, she had a locket that had her name engraved on it. They found that on the side of the pool. So I think that's enough evidence there to tell you that these two kids were mauled by some piranhas. And Greg saying, I actually do have Piranha on physical media. Oh, that was Greg. I'm sorry. I thought that was 59. I'm sorry. Sometimes I read these comments a little too fast. Yeah, Greg saying, AT&T stalled New World Pictures logo, but used it blue instead. Really? Okay. I didn't know that. That's informing. So, yeah, 59 saying, VHS takes up 40% of my room, and the closet is 80% game, VCR, and sealed movie storage. VHS in every room minus the bathroom. I'm sure you probably even thought about it. Like, hey, can I squeeze some VHS tapes in this bathroom? But Ghoulies, when I go. Oh yeah, the tagline for Goalies, they'll get you in the end, right? Once you fucking plant your ass on the toilet. I love how that tagline doesn't specifically, say that they're gonna climb up and bite you in the ass if you got to go take a number two. But it's clearly it's pointing at that and also pointing at they could get you at the end of this movie or whatever. So, oh yeah, it's funny stuff though. You have all your ghoulies collectibles and memorabilia in the bathroom right around the toilet. Oh shit! Now I'm like, oh, you know what? Oh man, you know what? Now I want to go look on the internet for a ghoulie shower curtain. Fuck, dude. I actually right now I have a Jaws shower curtain in my bathroom that looks so fucking good. It's perfect. And it doesn't even have like the Jaws title on it. It just has like, the shark going up, going after the girl swimming on the surface. That's what's in my bathroom right now. But now I'm like, fuck, dude, I want to see if I can get a Ghoulies shower curtain in the bathroom, like, with like the three main Ghoulies in it, dude. I gotta get that shit, man. But from watching your content, 59, like, yeah, you're definitely a very dedicated collector, mostly the VHS. But yeah, dude, I always that's why I always love seeing your content. Like, I know, man, you had that one video where you had like an endless amount of like Titanic tapes, like Star Wars tapes, like all types of crazy shit. Like, damn, dude, where you find all this shit? Like massive copies of all these movies and building. You're like, it's almost like him finding like a box of Legos and building something out of it. But like he'll build like a wall of fucking VHS tapes of just one movie. It's just a giant wall of this shit. Paramount logos in the kitchen on the Yellowstone show. You and I. Oh man, your whole life's surrounded by it. But all right, I gotta pull up the movie again, so I'm on top of my character names. Man, this device. This is why I don't go live with this device. It runs so fucking slow. I could never imagine going live with this fucking phone. This shit would be a mess. All right, so her name's Maggie. That's right. So like, all right, so now we're back at Paul's place. And he's filling up. He likes to walk around with a flask. You think the flask would have water in it? No, it's got nothing but fucking straight liquor in there. So, they're back at his place now. And Maggie, she's spent enough time with Paul to the point where she has enough interest in his life now. She's not really trying to pry too much. She just wants to try to get general info from him because she is a little bit more interested than the average person. She's becoming physically attracted to him. And with him, he's already been married and divorced. He also has a little girl who is apparently camping where, the campsite is in this movie, and she's spending the summer at this camp. But, Maggie, the more she talks to him and like they're sitting on a couch, they're sharing a blanket, and she like explains that like, I've been trying to hint at the fact that I've been interested in you with having my hands under the covers here and all this shit. But I'm kind of surprised that she's even interested in him just because of his his demeanor and his kind of quick temper, like it's just there's nothing appealing about him, and he's not even giving off any signals that he's interested in her. But yeah, she's fully interested in him, so I guess she's probably attracted to the fucking straight asshole type. Who knows? But yeah, 59 saying Almost Heroes new DVD AC3 Dolby Digital dubbed subtitled widescreen opens and a new window or tab brand new. DVD Almost Heroes 4 out of 5 stars. $13. I want the VHS though. Okay. Yeah, you'd think fucking DVDs would be like $8 or less at this point, man. 59 said, I'm in and out for a bit. It is vacuum mop time also, sadly, but I am here. Okay, that's cool, man. Yeah, oh yes, lenticular is something I go for when I find thrifting. I started with VHS lenticular, like Jack Frost or Crazy 88 Mask Guy, yeah. Yeah, I just, like the last thing I remember seeing like lenticular shit for is like Blue Underground. Like when they would do, here's a good one here. When they were like, revamping their horror line and everything. And they were releasing these like 3 disc limited edition sets that were coming with like DVDs. Like This Is Dead and Buried, the one with when the lady's stabbing the hospital patient in the eye there with the needle. It's kind of hard to get that effect off. Maybe, oh, there it is. It goes up and down. So when you turn it up and down, he gets stabbed in the eye. But this is like one of the last companies I remember actually doing like lenticular stuff for. But you know what else? Like I realized when we went back and did the Batman movies, I know The Dark Knight Rises. My copy of that actually came with a lenticular cover. But yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I can't imagine it costing too much extra to release a lenticular cover, but I just wish we saw that stuff more often, even on like the mainstream stuff. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I guess the last mainstream thing I remember buying with a lenticular cover is that Batman or the Dark Knight Rises. 59 saying Piranha though, yeah, very rare VHS. Probably only going to buy for some money online. Not in a wild hunt, but never say never. I have found Faces of Death this year, so it is like gambling. Yeah, that's why you just got to go out there and look, man. You never know what you're going to come across. I know a lot of times when I go to the flea market I go to, I'm aware of the one guy who sells the custom bootlegs. So I'm like, I already have in my mind like what I'm getting from him, and I do look at his Facebook page, and he usually will upload photos and be like, yo, I have copies of this now and that. So that gives me an idea of what I'm looking for when I go to the flea market. But, when I search throughout the whole place, I end up coming across something I could have never conjured up in my head that I would find. That's why you just got to go. You just got to go, take your time, search through this stuff. And I also learned that another smart thing to do, really depending on what it is you don't really want to like buy things right away. And then next you know it, you burned all your money before you search through everything. So what I'll do sometimes is when I go to a flea market, I will tell one of the sellers like, yo, I'm coming back for this. I just got to go get more money. But the truth is, I want to go look around first because I might find something else that I want over that. So then, like, the seller will say to me, like, well, I'm going to hold on to it for like another hour. If somebody else wants it, they're buying it. Like, all right, so hey, that's on me then. That's my fault for not jumping on it. But I try to really make sure I'm looking at everything before I make all my purchases, which that can be a tough way of doing things and buying stuff. But now we're at the scene now where Jack and his dog are hanging out on the fishing dock there, which is kind of a sad scene because, like, this guy Jack, I would love to hang out with this guy. It just seems like such a cool, laid back guy. I would love to like hang out with this guy and just drink all night. I feel like it's such a sad scene when his legs get mauled. He gets all torn up by the piranhas and he ends up bleeding to death. He doesn't fully get eaten. But, all the piranhas they're all alive and well and breeding in this lake. And even just sticking your hand in, just to feel the temperature of the water, could be enough to get your finger nipped off. And you know what's crazy, man? I was watching a short the other day, and on the title it said like guy gets attacked by shark. And I'm watching the video, and this guy has a shark up against the side of the boat. He's leaning over. The shark is like kind of on its belly, and when you put a shark on its belly, it kind of goes in like a coma catatonic state. Now the shark was fully calmed, and he goes to take the fish hook out of the shark's mouth. The shark rolls over back on its belly, and it's active again. The guy's hand gets caught in the mouth, and it rips his fucking pinky off. I was just like, oh my god, like holy shit, just like that quick, dude. That's why you don't put your hand near a fucking shark. I just couldn't believe how fast, like everything went from cool, calm, collective to bang, this shark is awake and active and ripping someone's finger off. But that's how fast fucking wildlife is, man. Yeah, 59 saying flea market too. You never know. And going early is the best odds. Yeah, I learned that from my Magic the Gathering collectors. You have to, man. Because another thing is, if you don't go early, it really becomes a waste of a trip. You know? Yeah, you're gonna find things, but I learned my lesson from hearing from these sellers. Like, yeah, I had this, I had that, and I know from going early. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I found like out of print DVDs to where like they're going for like 70, 80, $100 on eBay and still in great condition. Like I remember one time, it's been upgraded to Blu-ray now, but I remember this is before this movie was available on Blu-ray. I found Fire in the Sky on DVD at a flea market, and the going price was about like $120. Regular Paramount Pictures standard DVD. And I found that. And I was asking the guy, I was like, how much you want for this? I was like, this thing's like brand new. It looks like it's never even been opened. Like, I mean, it wasn't in the shrink wrap, but it just looked like no one ever touched it. And he's like, well, how much do you think it's worth? I was like, I'll give you $2. And he's like, all right, deal. And I was like, fuck, dude, I was about to say like 5 or 10. Like, I was like, God, that's starting low. It's, when a seller asks you like, something like that, you got to start low, you got to start low to give yourself a deal, a chance to get a deal. So I was like, $2? I didn't think he was going to go. And he's like, all right, yeah, deal. I was like, fuck, I don't think this guy knows what he has here. 59 saying, I have probably 400 DVDs, only 14 Blu-ray, most of those Criterion, David Lynch. Yeah, you know what? Because I know you are mostly like VHS, but if you're going to collect anything Blu-ray, that's good to see that you appreciate, the David Lynch stuff. Because I still need to, like, I do have a lot of David Lynch and like David Cronenberg Criterion stuff, but I really need to get the Blue Velvet release, the Criterion release, man. I don't have that one. I think the last Criterion I bought for David, David Lynch was actually Mulholland Drive. That was the last one I bought, which is a very elaborate release. Comes with a big booklet. I think it's like a 3-disc set too, but man, like I wish I had the money to keep up with Criterion releases, because there's like I have a fairly big Criterion collection already. But if I had to guess, what? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna actually have a number here in a second for that. All right, sorry about that. I have 24 releases. Oh no, 25. There's one DVD. I have Guillermo del Toro's Kronos on DVD, which I still need to upgrade to Blu-ray at some point. Actually, it's 26, because I do have Videodrome, the DVD release, and the 4K Blu-ray. So I have 26. Yeah, I have 26 releases from Criterion, which I should probably have more than that. But the prices of those things, man, I try to go after them when they're dropped down to like 20, because when they're not, they're like over $30, and be very pricey releases. But yeah, they're nice for what they are. You know what? The only thing I don't like about Criterion is their menus. I feel like their menus are just annoying. sometimes I'm like, all right, I think because like the subtitle button doesn't like it doesn't highlight properly, and it's just like, all right, I think the subtitles are on, and I hit play, and it's like, oh, I gotta go back, 'cause this fucking particular menu is just not visibly like set up right. But I just wish Criterion would make their menus a little bit more simple. That's all. But 59 and 4K, I will not cave to. VHS is my line. Yeah, it's dude, that's understandable though. I only ever really started buying 4Ks because of the fact that they do come with the Blu-ray. Some of them will offer better artwork, and a lot of times, if you look in the right areas, even around like Black Friday, you can find some 4Ks for like $10. So that was really one of the reasons why I even caved and started buying 4K. Because if you had to ask me like what format I really prefer, like I really just like Blu-ray. Like Blu-ray is perfectly fine for me. But it's hard to resist a 4K when it comes with a Blu-ray, and it's like, well, it's only $9.99. Like it's a little hard to turn that down, and I don't have it. Like I don't have the movie at all. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I really caved on 4K. And I think some of these movies will look good in 4K. There's other ones where it's like, God, what happened here? Like even like The Exorcist 4K, I feel like there's too much blue throughout it. There's certain like even the scene when when Father Marin, the priest, walks up to the house and that iconic scene in the fucking street light and everything. Why is it all blue? It's not supposed to be blue. But it's little quirks like that with 4K that'll bother me. But there is other movies that really will benefit from a 4K transfer. But I was just being sarcastic about the AT&T logo thing. I was about to say like they did that. Like I don't think I've ever seen that. But no, all right. Now I understand what you're saying, Greg. But I guess I see what you're saying though now, because like the red logo, the New World logo, kind of looks like the blue AT&T logo. Now I see what you're saying. I think, yeah, they look similar. Okay, all right. At first, I was like, wait, AT&T, like AT&T is like what are they like a partner branch now of New World Pictures or something? But I got what you're saying now, Greg. But yeah, timestamp is currently coming up on. I'm at 38 minutes right now. So we got about an hour left in this movie, and yeah, I'm at the scene now where they're in the lake and they're swimming up, and like they're actually on like the log raft right now, and they see that a father and son that were finished, they were fishing, their boat capsized, and the father got fucking mauled by the piranha. And now Kevin McCarthy's character, he's swimming to save the boy, but all the fish are, they hear the splashing, they smell the dinners available. But yo, I was thinking, when I was like scheduling this, and I was like, here's a question for you guys: would you rather get killed by one single great white, or would you rather get mauled by a pack of piranhas? I don't think there's one that makes the situation any easier, but I think I would rather get killed quickly by a great white shark than be picked apart by a bunch of piranhas. Like piece by piece, just getting ripped apart by piranhas. Like, oh man, that's got to be so unfathomably painful. Like, I'm like, like I don't know, but like, see, like the way like sharks, like I guess you could say like between like hammerheads, tiger sharks, mako sharks, and great whites, they will usually hit their victim very quickly. And what they do is, after they hit their victim, they will swim around it and let it bleed out. And then they decide when they want to go in and start eating it. And they usually do that as a defense for them. That's, they want the victim to bleed out or whatever it is and just slowly die, so they don't get injured when they go back to go eat it. So even just that element right there can really pick or make it hard to pick with one. Would I rather get attacked by a swarm of piranhas or would I rather just get hit by one great white? Oh, it's really tough, man. But I could never imagine being out in like deep, deep water, swimming and get hit by a great white. And the next you know it, I'm watching this thing as I'm bleeding out, just swim around me and knowing at any moment it's just going to come in and just eat the shit out of me. But I just think the idea of being slowly picked apart is like, oh my God. Now, another thing is oceanic white-tip sharks. They pretty much call those oceanic sharks because they're out in very deep water. You usually won't find them unless you're out like deep sea fishing. Those are the type of sharks because they're small. They kind of feed like piranhas. And they're not really like pack hunters, but you will see a bunch of white tips in one area. And they're not working together, but the reason why they all stay with each other is because if one has a meal, okay, we all can just pick it apart. So overall, oceanic white-tip sharks, they kind of work like piranhas. They pick you apart rather than taking big chunks out of you because they're not very big sharks. But yeah, now the piranhas are picking at the log raft and everything. They're ripping all the rope apart. And that's because of Kevin McCarthy. He died on the raft. He's bleeding through it. And the piranhas know that they have a meal here. So they have to, unfortunately, throw him off of the raft. They have to throw his dead body off into the lake. And the piranhas are just viciously ripping him apart. But they're still ripping at the rope that's holding all the logs together on the raft. They got to get out of here quick, man. They're down to like 4 pieces of logs left on this raft. But yeah, Greg's saying I'll go with a great white. Yeah. Another thing is I feel like let's say if like a great white is like latched onto you, like you could at least hit it in the side of the gills or try to stab its eye out and it'll let you go. Chances are it'll let you go. It's not like you could just sit here and punch the shit out of a small piranha. Not like, no, you just don't have that chance. So, oh man, both are just very terrifying. But I gotta go with the great white too, man. I'd rather take my chances with the big fish there and punch it in the gills or poke its eye out because you can't do that with a small piranha. So they managed to get to the shoreline there and get out of that situation. But man, they were very close to being more than just dinner there, about to be a fucking dessert and everything, man. That would have been 4 people for them to maul and just swallow and eat up. We got 4 people in the chat right now. Strength in numbers with Piranha. Yeah. Yep. I think that's how really like piranhas really work together, or yeah, they are like pack hunters, but if one finds a meal, another one is like, alerted, and then one goes over, and the third one goes over. Next, you know what, the whole swarm's over there just tearing up whatever it is. I remember a friend of mine used to have a piranha in a tank. I used to ask him, like, why do you even have this thing? You have nothing in the tank. It's just water in the fucking tank, and that's it. He's like, I just like feeding it. It's just very fascinating to watch the thing eat and everything. And I remember one day we went to his house, went back to his room, and the piranha was on the floor. He had no lid on top of the tank. So the thing jumped out of the tank and it's flopping around on the floor, man. But what he ended up doing was he bought this piranha when it was like this big, really small. He fed it like mice and stuff. Like he wouldn't like drown the thing and just let it get eaten alive. But he would buy like like crickets. Like piranhas will eat anything. Like so he would just buy random shit. Sometimes he would even throw a fucking chicken wing in there and it would just tear that shit up. But eventually the thing got really big. I think it was like got to like that big, and he sold it to a pet store for like $500. So yeah, he ended up, paying like a very small price for it, and got it to be a a decent size, and then sold it to a pet store and made money off of it. But I know like the average like red belly piranhas and stuff like that, they're like those are you can't just go to a pet store and buy those. They're really hard to find if you're trying to acquire a piranha as a pet. Like at this point, like thinking about that, just because like you can't go to any pet store, you probably have to like specially order one. You might have to go to a pet store and ask them to order one for you. But let's see if I can find out like how much a piranha costs, like an average piranha. Because I know you got what are they black? Isn't there black belly piranhas? I know there's a red belly piranha. There's a black diamond. They're called black diamond piranhas and red belly piranhas. Let's see how much a piranha costs on average if I can find out. So apparently they go from anywhere between $5 and $20. But some breeds can go as high as $70. And that depends on weight and size. So if it's like a 4-inch piranha, it's going to have a little bit of weight to it. It could probably cost up to like $50+. But it does look like you have to like really specially order one. Like you can't just walk into a store and just expect them to have a tank full of them. Yeah, shit, I wouldn't mind having one, but man, I used to have a fish tank when I was a kid, man. It's just a lot of upkeep, man. It really is. It's almost like having a tank of its own. It's like almost like taking care of a kid or having a car, or like having like an expensive drum set, trying to make sure you got new cymbals and heads and everything. What was this talking about down here? 59 saying strength in numbers of piranha. That's right, I pulled that one up already. Get mauled by werewolves would suck. Yeah, right. I mean, even Joe Dante's The Howling, when that one girl gets fucked up by that serial killer um, werewolf, man. Like, man, imagine a werewolf just ripping at your throat, man, just tearing out your actual throat, like your windpipe. Ugh. But then again, imagine like a real wolf, tearing you apart. You always forget Barbara Steele is in this, man. Always found her to have very weird eyes. I feel like her eyes are like too big for her little head. I know some people will find her to be like very attractive. I don't think she's like hideous or anything, but I just find it strange sometimes when people are like, "Oh, Barbara Steele, man, I think she's absolutely wonderful." I'm like, really? Okay. Is she still with us? Is she still alive? Let's look that up. She's still alive, man. 19 or sorry, she's 87 years old, man. Barbara Steele is still kicking and breathing. But yeah, man, she's been in a lot of great movies over the years. She's in Mario Bava's Black Sunday, Castle of Blood. She was in the original Pit and the Pendulum from '61. I think she did get involved with a few Roger Corman projects, including Piranha here. But I think she might be in that movie Screamers, which is the Island of the Fishmen or whatever. So apparently, I didn't realize she's in David Cronenberg's Shivers, the '75 movie. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's right. She's in the 1979 slasher film Silent Scream. That's a decent one. I had that somewhere around here in my collection. She's in Casanova, American Nightmare from 2000. But all right, so that's about it. That's showing on her general filmography. But I think she's in that movie Screamers. Not the '90s movie, but this movie was like maybe late '70s. Island of the Fishmen. But oh, that's right. Yeah, John Sayles is in this movie, which I think he does pop up in all of Joe Dante's movies in that kind of cameo role. I know he's definitely in The Howling, but yeah, he's in this movie as a military policeman, and that's when Maggie's like trying to distract him so Paul can get by him. And she's like, "Hey, look up in the air, it's Superman." She like pulls her tits out for him to say. Man, I really hate the lead camp counselor, this guy. This is the type of guy I would love to just dump a beer on, man. Alright, maybe she is not in that Island of the Fishmen movie. But that's another movie I like to watch throughout the summer. Think I think that was a Roger Corman production. Look that up. Screamers. Has like a couple alternate titles. Yeah, Island of the Fishmen, 1979 that came out. So that came out right after this. Man, it does have a few different titles. Island of the Fishmen, Island of Mutations, then another Italian title, then Screamers. That's right, it was directed by Sergio Martino, which is very famous for directing a lot of Italian giallo films. So yeah, that was released through New World, which is yeah, more than likely Roger Corman probably had the job of producing that. Oh, all right. So it has the Screamers title because in 1981 it had a re-release with 30 minutes of the footage removed from it, and they called it Screamers. Well, that's like half of the movie, man. 30 minutes. That's very drastic, if you ask me. So now, once Paul and Maggie they get caught, trying to do the best thing for everyone in the community and save lives, now they're going to be getting taken in. And Paul's reputation with the fact that he is like the local drunk and he's been recently locked up for being drunk, they can't believe his story of like, these mutated piranhas that are going to, danger the community and everything. If people will end up swimming in the local lake, they're going to get fucking killed. But his reputation screws that up, and that's frustrating. Yeah, so they're doing their best here to make sure that all the locals don't find out about the piranhas, which I kind of feel like obviously Piranha is heavily influenced and a bit ripped off from Jaws, but that's kind of what happens in Jaws too. How they want to only close the beach for 24 hours, and the mayor doesn't want to lose out on all those holiday dollars and everything. So it's like that kind of happens too, and in Jaws, it happens in this movie. So now, yeah, Paul and Maggie are locked up, and they just got to deal with the situation. But they do figure out a way out of this. If you guys are familiar with the movie, yeah, it sucks not having video clips, man. Like my video clips are still there, but they want you to pay fucking $45 a month to have a StreamYard account. $45 a month. Even if it was $10, I'd be like, I don't know. Like, so $45 a month, fuck you, man. I ain't fucking paying for that shit. But I think you're gonna see over time, everyone's gonna start gravitating towards other streaming services, like other live streaming services. So I know there's some people that do pay into that shit, but most of those people are the ones that have people spending on super chats, and then they take that money and that's how they pay for their streaming shit. But like, that shit don't fly with me, man. I'm sorry. I will never make you guys as viewers have to pay for me to make content. There's something wrong with that, man. That don't fly with me. But that's why I just, this should really just be about decompressing, relaxing, and having a good time, getting away from your job, getting away from everyday life. This is about, not having any stress. I know sometimes we have drama and bullshit that happens. That's a little inevitable. Just got to deal with that. But I just don't think people should have to work 40 hours a week to come home and spend their hard earned money on a stream. It just. That's a concept I will never be able to comprehend or swallow. But at some point, I would like to try to maybe get back into doing some countdown streams. Maybe some like top 5 streams. And if I'm doing those on my own, I will probably try to keep those type of streams like under like an hour runtime. Because I think I can go through like a top 5. Go through top 5 movies, whatever the topic is. I think I could go through those streams in under an hour. To where like I can let's say you start at number 5, go to number 1, you know pick out whatever it is for number 5, reflect on that movie for like maybe like a minute or two, jump into the next one, and acknowledge the chat and everything. I feel like I can keep that in under an hour, because when I've done countdowns, I mean, shit, I've done countdowns before, like on other people's channels, where we would have like 6 people on the panel and it would turn into like a 4-hour stream. But man, 4-hour streams, man. I gotta tell you, no matter what is going on in that stream, after that 4th hour, it's a little tiring, man. Even a 3-hour stream could be a little tiring. But that's really why, I mean, for the most part, I try to keep my streams, if it's a 90-minute movie, I really try to stay at that 2-hour mark. And I just try to be considerate of people that have to watch the replay. I don't like to just purposely burn time. So when I do these streams, I'm always trying to keep a clock in my head, like trying to manage the clock, like almost how like a head coach manages a clock in a football game. I really try to keep that in mind. But where are we at in the chat here? All right, 59 saying, yeah, you're naming it, broski. I play the YouTube game to enjoy myself as an escape. Raccoon City left some scars. No, I hear you, man. It's good. You have a sense of humor too, man, and it's just good to see that you don't let things really get to you. I mean, I should really I don't know. Eventually, I'm gonna have to get back into uploading videos again and get into that. But for me, like one of the reasons why I rely on streaming and shorts, for me to make a short, as long as I have all like the content footage and whatever like poster art I might want to add in, as long as I have all that stuff, I can make a short in under 10 minutes. And with a streams are very easy to do, because once you hit live, bang, what you see is what you get. So that's why streams are just easy for me to do. Now, when it comes to doing videos, I always feel like once I've recorded something, it can be perfectly fine, but I'm like, I could do better here. Let me try it again. The next you know it, I'm working on a video for like 6 hours, sometimes even longer. So that just consumes too much of my time. So that's pretty much why I rely on just doing the shorts and the streams. But, all my views actually, like where my numbers really come from, they really come from the shorts section. Like, actually, my numbers have gone up a lot on the shorts lately. Like, a lot of them go like past like 1K. I think I've only had one short go viral, and was a Sopranos short I did. I've had one go viral. And I don't know what it is, man. You upload any Sopranos content, people love that shit, man. That shit takes off. But, one thing that's really important that I learned with doing the shorts, if you have the proper hashtags put in place, more than likely the numbers will go up on that shit. If you have the wrong hashtags put in place, shit's just going to sit there and be dead weight and not fucking do anything. Now, for the most part, I just do really what I think I would like to enjoy seeing and what I watch. So like I don't really care that much about the numbers, but it's still nice when you see like you got a short like at like 1,500 views and it's still climbing. It's nice to see that, but I just try to really upload stuff that I would enjoy seeing. So that's it's just what my stuff really is based off of. And with on top of doing like streams for like movies that have an anniversary, I think it's important to even do like something that's like a 30-second short on that, just letting people know like, yo, this movie was released today. It's 40 whatever years old. And so yeah, that's why I just at this point it's really is just shorts and streams for me. But I do have to get into trying to get some videos out there because I think it's important when you have a channel. It's really important to focus on all the categories of everything. And that's how your channel really grows. It also appeals to other viewers to want to subscribe to you. If you're one person that's stuck in one category and you're wondering why your sub count is stuck in a certain area and it's not growing, chances are you're probably not watching a lot of content. You're probably not commenting a lot on people's stuff, or you're stuck in one category and that's just not appealing to viewers. So that can be a reason why people won't subscribe to you. But yeah, Greg's saying $45 a month. Yeah, a month for a service like that is insane. Exactly, man. I know it wasn't even all that much money either. It really wasn't, but fuck that. Just to play video clips, like fuck out of here with that, man. But we're at the scene in the movie now where it's like this actual event that's going on and on like the campgrounds and everything. They just cut the ribbon and everything, so like the weekend event is taking place. It's finally underway. But yeah, 59 saying, don't worry about the popularity contest of who has the best AI Bigfoot vlogger for sure. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I think some AI stuff is really cool. Like, actually, I just found this one the other day. The Jaws artwork is moving, and it actually eats the girl. I want to see if I could show you that, guys. Watch, I'll get like copyright strike for showing this to you guys or something. But maybe I'll upload this to the channel soon. But I think this is really cool. Right, the shark's moving, and it attacks the girl. It's like a 6-second clip, but I think that's pretty cool. Even like the logo's bleeding too. But yeah, and some of that AI stuff, it can be really cool to see, but like some of it can be really strange. And I really hate it when you see like an AI thing and it's like someone being attacked or something by an animal, and then everyone in the comments is like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that happened." It's like, how can you not tell this is AI? What the fuck? Like, 59 saying, obviously I am targeting some shorts on weird AIing those digital beasts. Survivor going digital cryptid hunting. Yeah. I have no streaming fees. Got rid of Netflix last year. Yeah, I don't have any of that shit anymore, dude. Dude, put it this way. I don't even have cable in my room anymore. I got rid of that. I have a cable box out in the living room. That's mainly for sports and all that BS. But I just realized it was costing me $12 extra a month just to have a box in this room. And I was like, I don't even use it. I really just use my 4K Blu-ray player. I was like, nah, we're getting rid of this thing. I'm going to save that extra fucking $12. All that BS. I have central air. I'm not one of those assholes that has like a window unit. It's like, oh, we got to turn it off. Save money. Get the house hot again. Like, no, fuck that shit, man. Now, even though in this movie, we're back at the lake right now, kids are jumping in on their blow up tubes and everything. I really hate how the camp counselor's like so hard pressed on this little girl that's Paul's daughter. Really hard pressed on her to try to get into the water and go swimming, but she's terrified of the water. I know it's just part of the movie and everything, and this could be like very reminiscent of a real life situation with a hard headed camp counselor coming down on a camper for not swimming. Very realistic in a way. But like, man, it makes me really hate this camp counselor so much. It's so satisfying when you see one of the fish fly out of the water and bites them in the face. But now I do know like a lot of those underwater shots when you see like the swarm of the fish swimming by. See if I could pause on that real quick. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, but I know a lot of those fish were literally held on sticks when they were filming that stuff. But this is 1978, man. Like this is how they had to execute things and do things, and to really sell a swarm of fish like that. And maybe I think just the fish on the stick stuff is a little, it's a little dated. That's I think we all can agree on that. But there's so much good to this movie that still makes it very classic, very relevant. Now, maybe someday, as far as filmmaking goes, the original Piranha here might turn into how a lot of black and white movies are. And the movie might become dated and just not be that relevant or popular anymore based on that. Hopefully that never happens. But with the way technology keeps advancing, I think that's possible that a movie like Piranha could end up just, drifting away and not being loved and appreciated anymore. I think that could happen. But I think I have a clip of this in this. Yeah, right here. Shit, missing it. Yeah. Now you see it, like that's the scene there. I know there's like a glare on that, but that's the scene right there with like the fish on the sticks there, where you don't have like a straight visible view at like like the fish or like all the details and the features. It's really just like a dark silhouette of the fish, but it works, especially in '78. It worked. But now these kids are being picked. Now they're all the piranhas are there in the water, man. And I really think that makes a situation of being attacked by something even worse because you don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from every angle, man. Ugh. Unlike, being attacked by like one shark. Let's say you're with a crowd of people in the water and someone else is being attacked. Chances of you like are you probably have some leadway to get out of that situation because the shark is distracted by something. Yeah, the camp counselor just got bit in the face. Yeah, the shark jumps out of the water, bites him right in the face. I love that scene. But yeah, I forget this girl's name. She's like a reoccurring actor in all of Joe Dante's movies. I know she's in Gremlins, The Howling. I'm trying to. I forget her fucking name right now. But she gets killed here, and I think it's such a sad scene because her friend watches her get dragged down into the water. Like even to this day, when I watch that scene, I'm always like, that's some sad shit right there, man. A lot of kids are getting bit in the ass right now because, like, your ass goes through that hole in the fucking tube. Everyone's getting bit right in their fucking butt right now. But the little girl that's scared, she knows that she has to get in the water to try to save people. And some of these kids are trying to stand on the fucking tubes. Like, good luck with that. You need to swim. Yeah, little girl, she's trying to push a boat out into the water because she's just too afraid to go in that water. She knows she's got to do something, though. Belinda Balowski, I think her name is? Yeah, that's her name. The actress Belinda Balowski. So her name in this movie is. I don't know. I'll pull it up in a second. But yeah, she's the one that gets attacked, and then like her friend like watches her get pulled under the water, and she just gets completely torn to pieces. Get back to the chat here. I know it's really just us three here right now. Yeah, I really wish that camp counselor would have got chewed up a bit more. Like actually, well, really just would have died. But that guy's the worst. So, all right. Yeah, so Susie finally got a raft out there and got a paddle. And, oh, it sucks. That's right. It's another thing that makes this scene so, like, dramatic and sad here. The little girl goes out there with the raft. She saves the one girl, but they can't save Belinda. And she gets torn up. Yeah, they're all holding on to her arms and everything. That's her name, Betsy. She's like, Betsy, and then she gets pulled down by all the piranhas. It's like, damn, you were just like a hand's length away from being pulled onto the raft, and they couldn't do it. That's a sad scene, man. It really is. On top of that guy Jack and his dog when he's on the fishing dock, and he's just sitting there like he's telling his dog a story as if the dog's like really taking in the info. It's sad when Jack gets killed and that girl Betsy, man. It is. So now Paul and Maggie have finally, they found their way out of the jail cell. They steal a cop car and they're finally on the scene now. So Paul's physically going to try to start saving people while Maggie's going to get on a phone line to try to, inform someone with actual power to, do something, get people out here to help people, warn other people about going into this water. But, I really think Joe Dante, as much as he loves Dick Miller and appreciates him as an actor, I feel like he always utilized him so well in his movies. And there's something about Dick Miller as an actor, man. He's just very evasive and just very, I don't know, just very straightforward, very realistic too. Just like all right, like like he just plays like he's a lot of times he might play like a miserable store owner or like a down on his luck husband or something like that, or like I love in Gremlins when he's like, blaming like all the technology on like the Germans or the Russians and how there's little gremlins in your technology and everything. And in a way, he turns out he actually ends up being right, but no one believes him because he's just a drunk local asshole in the town. Where was I? I was right here. Greg saying, "Oh yeah, watch people start to collect old 35 millimeter print films in a case and showcase them over here." Yeah, right. We'll go back to the the beginning of film watching and stuff. We'll go back to silent films and everything. We'll be watching the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and everything. Oh, fuck the new Nosferatu movie. I'm going back to 1923. Yeah, he'll start streaming with an old 35 millimeter reel. That's how we'll record everything. Yeah, 59 saying, yeah, Sean, the first thought is wrong in making any short. It has to be developed. A 59-second view is a 59-minute of work for me, for me minimum. But my viewers loop the videos on average at about 119%, so it gets. It looks like the length ran out on that. Yeah, it gets pushed regardless of thumbs up or comments. Those help though, but YouTube wants viewer retention and not to click away. Yeah, I know. Yo, honestly, if you want people to not click on your shit, you got to stay away from 1 minute shorts. I had to learn that the hard way. Now, sometimes I'll have a 1 minute short and I have no choice but to keep it at a 1 minute because it might be a short that's like a movie scene. And for the viewer to make sense of what's going on in it, sometimes that's got to be extended to a full minute. But I found that the best runtime to have for a short, to where you can keep viewers from clicking away, it's got to be between 15 seconds and 30 seconds. If you go beyond that, even if it's 35 seconds, that might be enough for someone to click away on it. But I've noticed that it really is the hashtags, man. Your hashtags have to be accurate to the content in the video. Now, let's say you have like I don't know what would the example be, but like, all right, here's something like, let's say you do a short for like the movie Piranha, but then you end up using a hashtag like fishing for, like, let's say that's a hashtag fishing for. That's not pertaining to fishing just because you have fish in it. That's going to be a bad hashtag. So it's hard to come up with certain hashtags, and some hashtags you think that should fit actually aren't a hashtag at all. It's like no one utilized them. So if you're using a hashtag that's not really utilized at all, that in terms of that is not a good hashtag. So I just know the more you play with making shorts and watching them and paying attention to those hashtags, you start to learn more and more. Now, another thing I'm kind of figuring out, and I don't even think this is 100% true, but it seems like when you, let's say you make a short and you put at the title, whatever it is that you put in the title, you use nothing but hashtags, those are the ones that take off the most for me. So I don't know, man. It really is kind of like a mixed bag with figuring out the perfect process of doing things and getting people to view your stuff. Because, I mean, there's times where I'm like, damn, I thought this short would take off. And then other ones where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this one ain't going to do good. And then I come back to it, I'm like, 3,000 views. Like, really? Like, people want to see this? Like, I only uploaded it because it was released today or something like that. Like I want to see if I could look back at some of mine, like the ones that take off and which ones don't. But oh, this is where that stunt scene's gonna come up with that speeding boat, and there's a couple people scuba diving right now. Yeah, I forgot about this scene. We do get some scuba divers that get attacked. Like, who the fuck wants to go scuba diving in a lake, a dirty, murky lake? You can't see shit. Um, actually, I uploaded this Darth Vader one, which was AI generated, and it was only 20 seconds. So I thought that was going to take off. And like, I didn't think it would go viral, but I thought it was going to take off. It only got 700 views. I thought it was going to be like at least like 1,000 or two. And mostly based on because it's an AI short. People love watching AI shorts. And it was only 20 seconds. So I thought that would take off. It just didn't. But then, like, thinking, like, because nobody really cares about the movie Species, it seems like. I did a 30th anniversary short for that. I was like, nobody will care about that. It's got 745 views. And it also has, like, a bunch of likes, too, I think. Oh, it's got 18 likes. That's most people I talk to about the movie Species, they're like, oh, man, fuck that movie. And, it's not the best movie in the world, but I think Species for being a 90s sci-fi horror film, a movie that's set in fucking development hell since 1987. It's not bad for what it is. It's just unfortunate that when you see the creature on there, the female species, whatever the fuck they want to call it in that movie, they use some CGI in it, and that CGI is just fucking rough to look at. Which is like, if you ask me the question of what movies do you think could actually benefit from a remake, I think Species. If that was remade today, also with the right kind of CGI, because there's just no way we're going to get all practical. I think Species could probably benefit from a remake done by the right people. But now we're on the water skiing scene, and the guy's trying, between the loud boat motor going and all the water splashing around, he's trying to warn them that something's in the water. He's trying to tell them to go faster because now he's starting to lose his stride in the water. He's about to fall out. So they finally take off again. But I think this is where that stunt scene comes in. And of course, you got some idiot pouring gasoline on a wooden boat. Another guy on a speedboat going over 200 miles per hour and just bursts right into that wooden boat. You get that explosion because of the water or because of the gasoline being poured out for no fucking good reason. Yeah, it's kind of funny that you do get some stunt work in this movie, killer fish movie. And now we're at the general part of the lake where most of the people are at. So now, now that these piranhas are really going to feast on these people. Like that water looks so gross to swim in. There's like tree plants and branches all in it. It's not even like blue or nice green water. It looks like it just looks like the nastiest water to be swimming in. Yeah, man. Yeah, everyone's getting mauled now, man. Even the average swimmer, like even like people like that are, like know how to swim, like even they can't get out of this shit. Yeah, people are starting to realize, there's something here in the water, man. But this Project Razor Teeth, these piranhas are specifically made to be like warhead animals. They were going to utilize these piranhas in warfare in a way, but fortunately, Maggie had no idea what she was doing when she drained that pool, and they all just got released into the fucking local lake there. Now, Dick Miller, as the mayor, is trying to, discredit all the talk of the killer piranhas. He's telling his right hand man, "What did I tell you? I told you not to say that word," referring to the word piranha. Like, here's another short I didn't think would do at all because it's like this is only 20 seconds of the trailer. It's the movie Alligator, and it got 1,160 views. Like, what? I didn't think that. I thought that might get like 500 views or something. And it's got 30 likes on it. Like, I didn't think that one would take off like that, but you just never know. And yeah, your hashtags really have to be accurate, man. They do. Getting back to the chat here. Yes, my Steven Seagal 2.7K Wonder Short. Exactly. There you go, man. Popular in Russia. Yeah. It's funny you're talking about Russia. I uploaded a 40th anniversary short for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And out of nowhere, I get this copyright thing. I'm like, what the fuck? I never get this. And apparently, because of the Tina Turner song, We Don't Need Another Hero, it cannot be played in Russia or Belarus. So that's what affected the short the most. I still left it on there, but since I left it on there, it only ended up getting 317 views on it and 13 likes. But apparently, I guess I have a big audience in Russia. I think all of us do. I guess a lot of Russians like to watch Americans. I don't know. Who fucking knows? But yeah, that Russian shit will really affect your your content. It'll either affect you in a very negative, bad way, or it'll be very good for your channel. Greg, I want a 35 millimeter film in cases for display. Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. All that stuff will be so big, you can get rid of all your dinner plates. You can eat dinner off of the 35 millimeter cans. Man, some of these fish bites and these fish wounds, man, they look so real. Oh, I love when that fucking military colonel gets pushed into the water and he gets mauled. That's so good. He's trying to like help people and pull them out of the water, and then he gets knocked into the water. You see his hat floating to the bottom of the fucking lake there. Oh, I forgot you got that stupid raft thing out in the middle of the lake. But man, dude, they look like some of those piranhas really look legit. Like the ones that had like the heavy, high detail and the actual sharp teeth. Like they look really good. Even all these years later, man. I mean, shit, this movie's coming up on 50 years in a couple years. It's a 1978 movie. What, 3 more years? This movie will be 50 years old. Showing people you enjoy like-minded people is the most important in staying humble. Yeah, right. That's right, Greg. But yes. Oh, Shamarlos is here. What's up, Scott? Thanks for stopping by, man. So this stream's gonna go just over the 2 hour mark because we did get this started a little late here. All right, we have about 15 minutes left here, something like that. All right, Scott had corn dogs tonight. Man, I hate corn dogs. Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. I think the last time I had a corn dog was at a carnival, and many, many years ago. Maybe my early teens, but I barely even like hot dogs, man. But if I eat a hot dog, it has to be cooked off the grill. I can't be like, yo, just boil on a hot dog, be ready in 7 minutes. Can't eat no boiled hot dogs. But I think like corn dogs, if they're cooked properly, like right off a stick, like I guess at like a carnival or even like a ball game or something. I understand, the appeal for them, but nah, not for me. Can't go wrong with pizza. It's definitely right there, Greg. So Scott is watching the Friday the 13th franchise, watching one of those movies, probably the original, which is 45 years old this year. Part two, my favorite. Scott, yeah, honestly, it's my favorite too, man. I think the runtime on it, it's short, but it's perfect. It's utilized very well. Jason in that movie, he doesn't have his mask yet, but he's finally in the franchise. The jump scares are perfect. I mean, even that guy in the wheelchair gets hacked in the face. Ooh, it just really just shows how Jason's intentions are. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're on my fucking camping grounds. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Just a brutal, perfect movie, man. I love it. 3 minute shorts were rough for me. I am sticking with 59 seconds. I have Kubrick crazy eye. But I'm telling you though, 59, man, if you're trying to get something on views and you can keep it to 30 seconds, try your best, man. Really try your best to do that. I'm always doing my best to keep shorts at a short run time so people aren't swiping away. But sometimes, depending on what it is, you just gotta leave it at the time it is. So I really think the longest short I have is about a minute and 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. But that short did not do well at all, which I don't really care because a lot of times, like I said, most of the content that I'm uploading is really stuff that I would want to watch. So it's just, it's good to see that, because people watch it and like it, they kind of agree with that. Kind of like a movie trailer. Exactly, Greg. Exactly right. Which I do upload movie trailer oriented stuff, like how I uploaded the latest one for Piranha. That was from the original Piranha trailer, but I managed to cut it down to 30 seconds and still make sense of it and everything. So yeah, you're definitely right there, Greg. And we got Sonny Bargers here. Is that wait? Who is that again? Why am I drawing a blank on that? Is that you, Brian? Why am I drawing a blank on this? But hey, Sean, Scott 59 and Greg. Damn, man, you were just here the other night, man. I'm so sorry about that. But now, oh man, because Paul decided to go underwater and put like a warning rope around him. He has to turn on the chemical release so we can try to kill these pack of piranhas. He's getting mauled right now by the piranhas, so he's sacrificing himself for all of this, man. And she's supposed to count to Maggie's on the boat, and she's supposed to count to a minute. So she's going to go ahead and put the pedal down to the floor on the boat now. And this is what's going to pull him out of that situation because he's tied up to a rope. But yeah, Paul did get bit pretty bad by the fucking piranhas, unfortunately. But yeah, what's up there, Sonny? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on your name right now. And oh no, it's Russell Collier. That's right. Fuck, I'm so sorry, Russell. I'm so sorry. It took a second, like my brain just not like what it used to be. But yeah, it's Russell Collier. What's up there, Russell? Hopefully you had a good weekend, man. Thanks for stopping by. We're coming up on the end of the movie soon. But yeah, next stream on the channel. See now the news crew's here at 11 o'clock. Terror, terror on the lake coming at 11 o'clock. Man, so many people got fucked up. I mean, shit. You might be able to say that the kill count in this, like the result of people being injured, is higher than Jaws. It looks like it, right? But everyone's just totally devastated by everything, man. And A lot of it's Maggie's fault. A lot of it's the mayor's fault. But yeah, as of right now, next stream on the channel will be July 19th, this Saturday, for the 40th anniversary for Day of the Dead. But there's a possibility the actual next stream might be Joe Dante's The Burbs. I'm going to try to get that squeezed in here this week. It's really up there as one of my favorites from Joe Dante, really one of my favorite comedies of all time. So, and yeah, it's really a movie that I like to watch every summer too. So, yeah, we're going to try to get that one, or maybe this Tuesday. I'll try to get that squeezed in, but yeah, I want to try to, do a stream for that one sometime soon. Hey, Sonny, I'm in and out working on a floor mop. Still happy to be here. Yeah, we're coming up to the end here though, but in Canada they're called pogos. Oh yeah, the corn dogs. So now they're talking about how some of these piranhas have gotten loose and they're going to end up into the big open ocean now, which is what really leads up to Piranha 2, the spawning. So, all right, that is the end of the movie here, everyone. So, yeah, that is Piranha, Joe Dante's Piranha, the 1978 classic. But yeah, thank you guys very much for joining me for this one. I know we started this one a little bit earlier here, but okay, that's good to see, Russell. Whatever works, man. I know you're, for the most part, you get to these streams and stuff. You try to support the channel when you can, and that's what it's all about, man. If you have the free time for it, stop by and hang out. But it's just good to see that. Like, I mean, I'll admit, I got to admit, like for a while there, I was like not really like you weren't really on my radar, and then like one day I was like, I don't see Russell Collier around here anymore. I don't really see him at all. Maybe he quit YouTube. And here you are. You're still here. You just changed your name and everything, and just doing what's best for yourself, man. That's what it's about, man. Just doing what's best for yourself with everything. And but it's good to see that you're still here and trying to utilize your free time and just kick it and hang out with some people for a little while. Oh shit! What? I don't know why some reload thing popped up. Cannibal fish, yeah. But yeah, so apparently after this movie, Roger Corman went on to make that movie Screamers, also known as Island of the Fishmen. Can I pull that one out? No, I can't find it right now. It's too dark over there. But yeah, that's a movie that was directed by Sergio Martino, the Italian director. But that's another one, really involves the water and everything. Something that you can really base on watching as like a summertime movie. But who knows? Maybe we might find time for that one this summer. We'll see. But yeah, thank you to Greg 59, Brian over at Wrestling in the Van, Russell Collier here, Sonny Barger 81 MC. And Shamarlos was here. I know a couple other people. Jim's Movie Channel was here. Some other people stopped in, but yeah, we'll take a look at everything once we're done here. But yeah, thank you all very much for joining me here tonight for Piranha. I'll see you guys this week for Joe Dante's The Burbs, and then we'll move on to Day of the Dead, and then the Devil's Rejects 20th anniversary. So take care, be safe, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all in the next one, everyone.